Hello, Faceit IT department, Parler A137 here speaking. How can I help you?
Hi, is this IT? I can't get it working.
Sounds like you've got a very serious problem there. Have you tried turning it on and off again? No? Of course not. Okay. How about you leave this with me and I'll put you on hold and I'll get that fixed.
Yeah, okay, great, thanks.
Yeah? All right, great. Perfect. What up, Parler A137? How's it going,
What's up,
bro?
my dog?
Have you got a person on hold right now?
Yeah, I'm just making them stay on hold. The music really drives them crazy, so...
Okay. That's pretty messed up, but whatever.
To be completely honest, I can probably fix his issue with a snap of my fingers, but it serves them right because they didn't pick me to do the interviews. They got Parler A1101. Do you know him?
Yeah, I know that guy.
What an idiot. Anyway.
Oh, I think the boss is coming, so I'm going to shoot off. You better answer that call, mate. Please. Hi, sir. I've located the problem, and it should be fixed now. Best of luck. Have a good major.
Hello, Parler. What is happening?
Dan, what are you doing here? Parler 8899 said James was coming, the boss?
So, yeah, Parler, we have a problem. You see, the FPS reports...
Yeah, I got them.
Yeah, there's supposed to be a new cover letter for those.
Oh, I forgot. I saw the email, though, about it.
Yeah, so...
I got the memo.
If you could put the new cover letter on the new FPS report.
Yeah, no, I got the memo.
Yeah, that's.
I just forgot, I'm sorry.
That'd be great if you could just do that next time, and I'll make sure you get another copy of the memo.
I don't need... I have the copy right here. I'm gonna burn this place down.
Okie dokie, artichoke. Ready to rock and roll. Hello.
Is that what we've been having all the fire alarm drills throughout the week?
It's just Parler. A137.
Jeez.
Yeah, watch
I
out
didn't
for
know there
him.
was that many of him.
I mean, there was some. I saw about 6 or 7 around.
He's been all over the place.
He has. He really has. We do have some fantastic Counter-Strike coming up now, though, and thank you for staying with us. We do have FaZe versus G2. I'm looking forward to this one for a multitude of different reasons, and as are my analysts, Sean Gayers and Chad Sponge Birchill. Gents, why are you smirking?
Because yesterday's game of Counter-Strike, when we saw G2 versus Cloud9, was very entertaining, Alex.
Yes. In fact, Chad, you nearly lost your mind entirely. I mean, it's some you know, it's a loose thread, but
I'm definitely already spiraling. They've just pushed me a little bit further down.
But I'll let you explain why before, you know, those that are fans of G2 and rightfully so, of course, legendary names, can stop getting their knickers in a twist. It wasn't the same G2. It wasn't that gorgeous Counter-Strike we're used to.
No, because what we were expecting with Existence coming into this roster was to elevate the 2 stars and basically build a system around them to allow them to do their best work, which is popping heads. Kenny's on the big green and Shox, you know, either lurking or clutching or doing something along those lines.
Yeah.
However, those elements don't appear to be there. They didn't even have a basic B execute down that they could do to punish Cloud9 in yesterday's matchup. So, and there was also some very interesting mid-round decisions, like a lot of confusing choices being made across the board. Now, sure, you know, these guys have had a decent period of time to boot camp, but they had longer than NBK's iteration of a team to get things together. And if you compare the two right now, I would say Nathan may have done a better job. However, now that back's against the wall and it's a best of 3, this is where they could have been saving all of their secrets.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll actually hear from the players themselves now. G2 sat down with our camera crew ahead of this elimination best of 3.
So, playing for the first time with Existence was to me a great experience, and it still is, because that's the first real in-game leader I'm playing with. And he has a great overview of the game, he has really good ideas, and I trust him blindly. I think he's a really good leader.
He's a really good friend of mine, and I respect him a lot as a player and a captain. And I think it's what Fredjin was needed the most.
I think that since he's born or since he's young, he's this kind of guy who naturally will come and take the lead in everything he takes. And you can definitely feel it when you are by his side. So it feels really great to have something with big shoulders across you.
That was the G2 boys, Smiths, Kenny and Body, talking about their new in-game leader, Existence, who hasn't necessarily had that catalyst effect that many thought he would have on this roster, finally giving them some real rigid leadership and structure. However, not quite the Hollywood story just yet, fallen so far to Complexity and MIBR to put them in this scenario. They did pick up a win versus the Hellraisers though, and let's not forget that Hellraisers just locked themselves in for the top 8 in the first game of the day. It was Cloud9, again, another overtime that put them in this 2-2, taking us into the best of 3.
Yeah, I think G2 does do a lot of things really well. Their stars have shined occasionally from game to game. Shox has come up big time and time again for them so far in this event. Kenny has had some really good rounds himself. Honestly, Smiths has impressed me a lot.
Yeah.
But their utility usage, like Chad said, leaves a little bit to be desired. That could be just an Inferno thing. We don't really know what to expect from G2 outside of, we seen them on Dust 2. We were a bit impressed, honestly, on their Dust 2 game. But their Inferno seems to be lacking a little bit.
They did discuss in an interview, I think it was Shox with HLTV.org, saying they have 3 to 4 maps that they feel comfortable on, and that isn't really enough in a best of 3. Obviously, each team gets to remove 1 map, so there are weaknesses that can be exploited against these guys in this scenario. However, FaZe aren't really the team to do that. They're the type of squad who are just going to go to their strengths, which also might tee up to be a strength of G2's. It's just going to be on different levels. Now, these two on the screen right here are the stars of the squad, Kenny S and Shox, and over the years these guys have always had huge impacts, and Kenny has spoken as well about thinking he will play better with some structure.
I'm so glad you're talking about FaZe, because that is G2's opponent. Winner goes through, loser eliminated. FaZe are the next to step into the ring.
To win a major would be something special. We came so close last time in Boston, and it's the worst loss of my career. I've never felt so broken before, so it will be.
I think we're back here to revenge, to finally get that trophy which we felt belonged to us, and hopefully this time we can bring it home.
For me, personally, winning a major is something that I've been close to 3 times, and I haven't won a single one, so it's a big deal for me. So before retiring, since I'm already 27 and I'm getting old, I want to win a major, so it's a huge thing for me, and I'm sure for the others in the team as well. So it's something amazing and something I want to experience.
We were very, very close last time, and that one hurt a lot, so we want to take revenge.
A lot of talk about that grand final of the Boston Major. I'm sure I don't need to remind you, but if I do, it was FaZe's game to win. Cloud9, a spectacular North American comeback on North American soil, but still, FaZe still limping and wounded since that loss.
Yeah, and like Olaf said, I was there at the after party with him, and it was like the air was sucked right out of their lungs. They couldn't even speak. They were shocked. They thought they were definitely winning that major, so it probably took them a long time to recover from that. With that being said, ever since Olaf has come back, they've had a little bit of a hiccup, if you ask me. Found themselves down 0-2 here in this major, but they managed to make it to the best of 3s.
Yeah, there's some air of drama going on in that camp right now, and I may have fueled a little bit of that, but I'm sitting down here listening to the players, and to me it sounds like Nico, at least on Mirage, is doing the in-game leading, so we'll find out a little bit more today as this transpires. However, the normal storyline for these guys is firepower, firepower, firepower. When you look at those names, when you look at those players on your screen, they all come from different countries, and they're all the best player, or can be argued to be the best player from their country in a lot of different respects. Now, what I was talking about before with the veto situation, I don't think these guys are going to play to punish G2, knowing that they have a smaller or weaker map pool due to less time playing together. They're just going to go to the maps that they feel extremely strong on, and that's where you're going to see the likes of Mirage come out, because G2 have to ban Train.
But would G2 fall into the trap of knowing they wanted Dust 2 and big decimated FaZe on Dust 2 as their opening game?
I do think FaZe could lean on a cash pick. They do like the map cache, and they have seen Complexity pretty much railroad G2 earlier in the turn.
That's true. They didn't look fantastic on that map by any means, but this is the reason I think is because these guys at this point know that if they go in and play their game, they will beat G2. They don't really have to play anything different or outside of the box. That's why if Mirage is available, I'm like 99% positive they're going to pick that map.
Well, we'll bite our tongue for a moment longer as we take a look at our head-to-head before that veto process. It was selected as Existence and Olofmeister, two, in my mind, dramatically different players, both in role and performance.
Big contrast between the two.
Yeah.
Now, Olof is the only player now that his countryman Crims just got knocked out to make it to the top 8 of every single major. He is the last guy flying that flag. Whereas Existence, he made the top 8 in his first major, but since then he hasn't really made it back to that stage. And he was someone through Source, one of the brightest minds and definitely one of the standout stars.
Yeah, and some of the second and third major, I believe, Existence came into that major maybe with the most favored team. Based on scrim results, like people were praising those Titan teams back in the day. That they were coming into the majors.
Even I beat Titan at a major, Sean.
Yeah.
So what does that say?
You did? Was it 2015 by any chance?
I think it was. Maybe like an ESL.
Was it on Mirage?
I think it was on Mirage.
Yeah.
This is a humble brag.
No. I say this every time. Alex is fed up of hearing.
I'm just so sick. He had one good map and he just doesn't stop talking about it. Joking aside, we do have to start talking about the maps and the veto. So just to jump back into a conversation to recap, we think there's a possible for a G2 punish it, or G2 to be punished here in the veto process.
I think G2 has to ban Train.
Okay.
Oh, and FaZe are playing it safe by banning Nuke. I don't really think G2 would have picked it.
But you did just say that FaZe are going to play their game.
I think it is good that they ban that, though. They should be playing safe here. But yeah, G2 absolutely has to ban Train for their ban.
So we'll see if the train from the French is removed, and now it's time for the picks, as everything's going to plan so far.
Do you think G2 will just pick Inferno? Like if they consider that one of their stronger maps, what else? They
could pick Dust 2. They could pick Dust 2.
The thing is, if they try that one way as their way to control Long, they're just going to get destroyed. Like FaZe will definitely have done their homework at this point.
I do think though. So you were right. They'll end up picking Mirage. I think G2 could go with Inferno or Dust 2 here. FaZe has shown a little bit weakness on both maps, and Kenny could take over the game on Dust 2 if they did go that route.
Yeah, okay. Kenny versus Guardian on that map would be a little juicy morsel of a battle. I guess the third right now, both teams would be happy with Inferno if FaZe could get... Oh, look, there's Overpass in the pool as well. I feel G2 has to ban Overpass.
I feel like FaZe is going to ban Inferno.
Yeah, so that means it would probably be another... Oh, wow, okay, they've banned out...
So Cash is gone. That leaves us with
Overpass.
That
means that FaZe should go for Overpass here. They looked good on it. Like, I know they lost to Na'Vi earlier in the tournament, but they still looked good. Like, in my mind, they looked good. So that's a safe pick for them leading there. I think Inferno, there's bad memories with Majors and Infernos and third maps, so just maybe one mental reason to get rid of that. But if we look at Mirage as the first one, this is where FaZe, if they continue to play the same game they did in the last two matchups, once they are able to use they have like 3 or 4 different moves to get into bomb sites, and from that's when the mid game takes over. And these guys have been masterclassing that over the last 2 days.
Yeah, the odds stacked against them quite literally. You can see there on your screens a lot of doubt has been sown by G2, and I want to know if any of you guys have chosen to support the Samurai. I think we're waiting. It's one of those instances of just what we need to be proven that they can beat the best before we're willing to side that way. Sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be really hard here for G2 to start on the right foot, being Mirage. But I've watched a lot of French CS on Mirage lately. They didn't used to really play much of it, honestly, for a couple years there. But they've been stacking the A bomb site a lot with 4 players. Now, I'm sure FaZe has looked into this and won't fall into the trap. But if they didn't, because there's problems in the team, this could go terribly wrong for FaZe.
Oh, okay. So just keep an eye on FaZe's T side and don't go walking into the meat grinder.
Yes.
We did see the willingness to gamble from G2 on Inferno yesterday versus Cloud9 when they were sending 4 players to the top of Banana to get control on the CT side. So if they're willing to do those gamble stacks and that can get into FaZe's head, it can force them to crumble, because it does seem like, at least looking in from the outside in, looks like there is some problems within the camp.
Yeah, well, there's no problems within the casting camp, because we have our casters joining us as well. It's James Bardolph and Mr. DDK as well. Dan Kapadia, if I'm being polite. So guys, it does seem like G2 have got not many predictions on our side of the analyst desk, but I will let you go first in an official capacity.
FaZe.
Yeah.
Easy. So the problem, you can't really pick G2 right now, but I think there's a number of asterisks on their side. One being, I mean, we've seen some very bumpy results here, but we really don't know what their ceiling is in the short term in the vacuum of this tournament. Maybe we'll see that in this game. Another one is, can the likes of Smiths go up against the team of FaZe and come out on top of a fracking duel? Same for Existence as well. I think the maps will benefit players like Shox and Kenny, but it can't just be those two on the team. So I think maybe there's a way for G2 to win, but we're in the darkness with no torch, so we have to pick FaZe.
Hedging, I like it. Okay, so that's 2 for FaZe from the casting desk, and I imagine the same story here.
I just have to ask Dan a really important question.
Yeah, please do.
Did you get the FPS report with the new cover letter?
So...
Got it right here.
Yeah, I thought you were going to leave with the Parla impression there. Parla had his banana skills on point.
That was Parla, what was it, W31579?
Yeah.
I'm going with FaZe.
That sounds like a tax report.
Rise of the Parlors.
Another FaZe from you, Sean.
One more, yeah. FaZe.
Okay, so I'm going to join the brigade as well. Just wanting to see if G2 can do anything to muster up some courage versus FaZe Clan. And Olof, gentlemen, I'm going to leave it with you. Olof is the only player in Counter-Strike Global Offensive history to make every top 8 now with Crim's departure. Let's see if he can survive.
So sad.
History about to be written once again. It is a shame for Crims, but I think there are great stories on both sides of that previous match. You can see the emotion on Issa, but now it is time for the likes of G2 and FaZe. Is it time for olofmeister to extend that record as the sole representative on top of the mountain, or is it time for Existence to come back to top flight Counter-Strike and make it to the playoffs of the major, as well as Shox as well, of course. We're seeing the Shox that we all love to see, the Shox who is unleashed, not holding the reins of the in-game leader, causing problems for his own game, but he's just free to do what he wants to do. But I mean, there are so many questions on the G2 side, short term, long term. I'm sure some French players are watching at home. It used to be on G2 as well, although apparently there are rumors of another French team. I don't know anything about that, but for now we'll have to focus on this one.
it's just so difficult to have any confidence here for G2, even if there is some problems here or there for FaZe. Just like that individual level is going to overwhelm G2. It's going to be able to allow them to bounce back easily from any mistakes, I would say, FaZe strategically. And yeah, I'm really, really, really worried for G2 here. I am worried they're going to get blown out of the water. They can prove us all wrong, though, because I think there's a lot of other people that feel the same way as I do, because we are into the game, so let's get in there. There we go. So FaZe on that T side. Guardian already tossing the smoke. Is that to connect that, James, or was that jungle?
I'm not sure. There's so many new angles now with the skyboxes.
Jungle.
Okay, this is interesting. So they have isolated players towards the jungle position, but allowed a two-pronged assault of the A site itself. But did they push CT? CT's open for the time being, and olofmeister's having a look. There's no flashes to take that position. In the meantime, Karrigan delivering, and there may be more pressure on him at the moment. Shox now flanking towards T-spawn. Body picked off in the meantime.
Yes, a very nice opening from FaZe. Simple, but solid. And Rain is lurking there, and it's so difficult as you start to push forward to the CTs. So many angles, 2 quick bullets from Rain, execution style, as it's just Shox left. And what can he do here with that USP? Looking for these players, but FaZe, they're playing it smart, being hidden. Rain once again just picks the perfect spots and the perfect timing to reveal himself and do the damage. 1-0 for FaZe. And I love that pistol round, James. That was like very quick, very simple. The smoke to jungle was really nice. The split onto the A bomb site. Lovely stuff.
Yeah, I like these kind of plays on Mirage because for the most part it gives you those close quarters engagements with the Glocks coming out from the underpass. You can have close duels and connector if somebody's there and so on. So you limit the weakness of the Glock and you play to its strengths, having more bullets in the magazine. As well. Shox on a scout, the rest of the team with some Desert Eagles. Not a full investment from all. Kenny S has spent some money, which may leave him without Kevlar with an AWP in the buy round. I always forget. Smiths has been dangerous with the 5-7. He's got a lot of kills through smoke in this tournament.
He has indeed. He's going to need a lot more in this one as well. They will need everything they can muster against FaZe. Slow round here from the FaZe boys. We've got a slow mid-take coming in. The timing of the smoke, jungle, or rather connector ends, also window. And a slow clearance here. Just trying to make sure they can be safe against everything. We'll often see teams going for these B splits on these anti-force buys or ecos. It's been quite in vogue. Ooh, but he can't quite find a connection there. That's unfortunate for him. Does do some damage to olofmeister. Oh no, actually no, he didn't. He missed everything. It was against Guardian. So yes. FaZe are starting to get closer to that B bomb site now. Indeed, it is that B split. Existence. Oh, there you go. There's one. A second one offers itself up, but Rain will shut it down. And that B-bomb site is looking pretty open, James.
Yeah, the split from FaZe Clan now, moving in. Kenny's still dangerous though, and the time is ticking for for FaZe. Oh, the knife shocks. That's perfect timing from him. He's bought some time for Smiths, who has position on, well, he has short. I wouldn't say he has position per se. Karrigan now will avert crisis for FaZe. Now we need to have GoTV picks, and I want to lean towards, I think Guardian is a great person to learn from, but I have to pick NiKo because his one-taps are just incomprehensible. So for the T side at the very least, for those of you on GoTV or the Twitch Premium Pass, my choice is NiKo.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good one. Shocks is always a good call as well, if you're on the GT side, obviously. Especially now that he doesn't have that in-game leading responsibility, he's more free to focus on that individual performance. We've seen some good Shocks moments this tournament so far. FaZe playing that anti-eco once again will bring themselves into the middle position. Right now it's just the drills here, as Rain will drill Kenny S with that AK-47, and olofmeister will take that as a good example, and he'll follow up as well. So just an easy rounds here for FaZe, going according to plan, and they'll be soon on that 3-0 start. And G2, they're going to have to strike back quickly, James. You do not want FaZe to have any momentum. And Sean did mention the A stacks. That's something we'll have to look out for from G2.
I do. I'm inclined to pick olofmeister as well. I think especially with the nature in which NiKo gets frags with his one-taps and so on, I think it's easy for other people to fly under the radar, even on a team such as FaZe. So whether you, on this T side at least, which I think will be the more interesting side, whether you pick NiKo or olofmeister, I don't think there is a bad pick. 32 seconds for Body to stop the bomb from going down. This is not looking very likely at all. So we will see what happens. So look how careful they are, though. Meticulous. He's still going for the default plant. I suppose they are less exposed in that sense. I like the inverse plant. When you have smokes down, for example, everyone goes for like a default plant or triple plant. I think if you go for an inverse default plant, what does that mean? It means the other side of the default box you can plant there as well. It gives you a stronger positions post-plant as a T, whereas if a CT gets on the site, you may find yourself in difficulty trying to get something done. So 3-0 for FaZe. The buy round starts now.
Yep, Kenny S with a lot of responsibility here, lots of work to do. Can be jumping straight across. Nails the jump, but no one to catch moving across, or maybe there is, but fortunately for Kenny, he won't be able to find it in time. Boost up will be fairly devious, maybe unexpected, but FaZe care not. They're pushing into the A-bomb site one way or another. Headshot there for NiKo, and olofmeister playing the middle position. Response 2 players takes down Kenny. That's your picked up now by Body, but there is no way to really get to the bomb site, surely. They know that he's there with the AWP now, and I very much doubt FaZe is going to give up any more frags here. Playing safe angles. Just like that fast A round was quite successful.
Very confident peek there from Guardian. And indeed, horrible timing for Smiths. With players moving through the smoke, he was looking to check the gap. Quite often when there's a smoke grenade at the T ramp on A, there is a gap in the corner, kind of similar to the A main smoke on Cash. Something to be aware of. So if you're a CT and you want to cross to the other side of the smoke, maybe to do a sneaky play, you've got to be really, really careful, because if you're throwing the smoke willy-nilly, almost definitely there's a gap. So if there's a sniper behind it or any kind of T, they will be at an advantage if you're walking beyond that smoke. Now, if you look at, say, a Mouse Sports on Mirage, for example, I know they do it on the CT side, the A players will go in front of the barrels on the CT slope of A. There's a lineup with the box, so you can throw the smoke from behind the box, which is pretty much a consistent smoke. So if you're throwing it in such a fashion, then that will be less of an issue, but it's definitely something to be aware of. Now 4-0 for FaZe. Kenny's on the AWP, and again, this is a situation where he needs to get something done. As you can see, he's made his way into Palace. This is an awkward pick, though. He has been spotted, and he's got to fall back from that. But the general idea here is that G2 gets something done now. On the CT side of Inferno, you may see a CT with an AWP get a pick, rotate somewhere else, expecting a rotation. Kenny hasn't done that in this scenario. He's still on the A site. The FaZe are moving in quickly. Kenny has one shot, but that is a problem. We see a few snipers go towards that triple position, and sometimes if there's like more than one person on the ramp, it's really hard to escape that area. Really troublesome. Now Existence looking for some bonus cash, although not much of it with the CZ. Only $100, I believe, for getting a frag of it these days.
For the longest time, actually. It's been like that forever now. I think people are tired of actually asking for the bonus to be returned to the normal.
Dude, I used a 5.7 for so long that I didn't even realize. And then I would get a kill in pistol rounds. I'd be like, where's my money? I thought I'd have more than this.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about it, to be honest. It's yeah.
Well, in the hands of somebody like Twist, it's still very OP, so.
Yeah, it's I don't know if that would be the kind of fix I would make, but either way, into the next round, double ops here for G2, and Kenny once again making the jump across, but he will be unable to do much there with that smoke in place, and FaZe once again with a fast pace to the round. Karrigan is going to open things up well here, but there's so much in the way of defense offered up here by G2 towards this B bomb site, and Kenny S able to pick up Rain. Rain has been quite the monster going up onto that fence in middle. We've seen him do some good stuff here on Mirage this tournament there, but it seems like G2 are adapting fairly well so far, evening things up, and we'll see FaZe responding by rotating towards that A bomb site. But this round doesn't look too bad here for G2. They have decent enough positions. If Kenny can hit some shots, this will be a tough one for FaZe.
Smith's moving into a deeper position in the ramp. Still not necessarily easy to get a frag from here, but now starting to rotate, not getting any sound cues. So perhaps Kenny will watch the lower area and Smith's to high. Existence making a play in the underpass earlier on. We'll talk about that later. Now, Olofmeister's in the connector position, so FaZe have good position here. It's a 4 versus 2 on the A site. And if Body chooses to rotate into the crawl space, the timing will be very important. The grenades start to fly in. He's on the rotation. Trades immediately. Smith's taken out on the high ground by Guardian, who was ready for it. And again, that triple position appears to be a problem.
Yeah, it was a really nice shot from Kenny, but only the one kill. And now, with the remainder of G2 locked out at the bomb site, things might get difficult. Oh, Body's lost as well. That is a problem. Shox. Oh, we can see he was considering it right there after making that frag, but he thought better of it, and he will fall back and away with that AWP. Of course, they are a max loss bonus, but they do need one round to save, and because of the amount of money they're going to get in this round or in the next rounds, there is actually a lot of danger this AWP can present. You know, they'll have some CZs and Kevlars and a couple grenades. The next round could be quite dangerous against FaZe, so that should be an interesting one to see what Shox does with that AWP, or if he gives it to Kenny, what Kenny decides to do. Oh no!
Never mind.
Oh dear.
So you saw the earlier play from Existence into the underpass. Something that you can consider at home if you're choosing to make a play like that is to not buy full grenades, because if you're making a play like that, either you're going to die, whether you get a frag or not, or you're not going to be in a position really to use most of those grenades. So you can save yourself a hell of a lot of money, especially on the CT side, if you only buy what you think might be really crucial beyond the play you are choosing to make. Now, Smith was above the shadow position, and if I'm not mistaken, Guardian peeked from Palace and took him out with an AWP, which, bearing in mind, when you're coming out of the Palace area, you could have a player in Sandwich, a player on the stairs next to Connector, or who knows where else. So I do wonder what happened in that scenario, if he was turning around or if Guardian just was Guardian, which is always good for FaZe, who are 6-0 up at the moment, looking confident on Mirage.
Yes, indeed. It's been a good map so far. It looks very ABC from them, and these mid-techs have been really effective. The grenade placement and so on has been causing G2 some issues. Nico able to defend against Smiths. Little does he know there's more where that came from.
Yeah, we'll see how he deals with this anti-eco. And on the subject of Palace, from a T person's perspective, you can see that Nico started passive. He didn't go too deep too early. in case something like this happens. So it's always good to anticipate what your opponents are doing. Another cool thing is if you watch Fallen with an AWP in Palace, if he's making his way through, he'll often scope very early on, like in this kind of area. I think people at home will go to the end of Palace, look into A and scope in, but if someone's playing in the shadow position, they immediately know a sniper's there. But if you scope in early and walk through Palace, and people have no idea you're coming, so it can make the difference between winning and losing. Getting a pick which gives position to your team for that fabled pincer movements. Now with 3 players left, FaZe start to breach a bomb site. So again, there's time for correction here should something go wrong.
Shox with the Deagle. Oh, whiffs the first couple of shots. Unfortunately, that's not something you can afford to do in that position, and FaZe get closer and closer to this round. Oh, Guardian being teased. Actually hits Kenny in the calves. Kenny's actually stolen away an AK-47, which is something, better than nothing. And Body looks to be a nuisance, but another round will go the way of FaZe. It'll be 7-0 pretty quickly here. We haven't seen any super close rounds where FaZe really look tested, or where it really comes down to these clutches.
Yeah, and FaZe are coming off that swift dispatching of Tyloo as well, which certainly helps in terms of momentum. Now Kenny is the only man remaining. Of course, G2 are at maximum loss bonus. In the next round, they will have everything they want. I would love to see the AK-47 go to Body or Shox. And we'll see what else G2 can do. It's not too late to have a reasonable half. And I would expect they'll have something in mind for the T side. So let's see what they choose to do. NiKo being very vocal. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think there were mentions yesterday of him leading the charge on Mirage. Not every map, but at least Mirage. And people say, some people I think on the internet were referencing the in-game leading on Mousesports, but I think that was a very different case. As sometimes we saw it was like the whole team holds and NiKo tries to get something done, but this is a very different team. FaZe Clan. Full players top mid for FaZe, and olofmeister is making his way through B-Apps.
Yeah, the double orbs here for G2, back in action. And this forward setup towards A could be quite strong if FaZe go back after this mid-take towards that A split, using the slope as a position to perhaps push 3 players, which is somewhat common with this opening. But that's the beauty of the mid-control. You can develop it into so many different things. And what the CTs usually do to figure that out is they'll do a 2-man push at a specific timing into the pit position to see if there are any Ts gathering up there. If there are not, they can start to eliminate some of the plays they think that the T side might be making. And you can see it's actually Shox pushing the B apartments, and the bomb is actually on the other side. He hasn't seen it just yet, but my goodness, if Karrigan walks into this angle and Shox sees the bomb, that could be a big moment for G2 here.
Karrigan should know that you cannot just walk into these angles in case a sniper is there. Exactly. Runs past. Very good awareness there. Every pro knows to avoid that. Shox falls back, but he's got some info. But can the rotation come in fast enough? Body is on the case, and now it's just down to Body with that AK-47. Maybe he can show us. Never mind. There's too many players here. Guardian has a superior angle. 23 seconds for NiKo to plant the bomb. olofmeister keeping an eye on things in the mid position. He will hear the footsteps of existence. Maybe Smiths as well. And it is save time for G2, 0-8.
Yeah, you almost think that maybe there's something that could happen there. You know, Kenny managed to get a kill. Or no, actually, did Kenny get taken down? No, Kenny got a kill as they were crossing middle, going towards that B split. That gave some information. And then Shox, if only he gets something done on the site there, there's real chances for G2. But look at just the individual power we're seeing out of olofmeister and Rain, and basically everybody from FaZe. NiKo, as you say, leading the charge in more ways than one. And G2, James, it feels like they're a bit defenseless right now.
Yeah. They are, it's like seal clubbing at the moment.
Oh, wow.
olofmeister.
Straight to the seal clubbing. I see.
You said defensive stance, first thing I thought of. olofmeister, again, in those situations, you can just see his mind whirring. You see him pull out the Molotov for a second because he knows 2 players are live. He has a read. It's almost like poker. Like, he has a read that the other guys in Palace anticipate for a second. And just beautiful watching him take that duel as well. It's like a human highlight video. And that is a great example of why he is one of the 2 GoTV picks in this half for me.
Ooh, connection. Oh dear. These grenades have been really good in mid from FaZe so far. And they take a different approach this round. We've seen a fairly quick pace from FaZe, typically into the mid positions, and G2 looking to respond to that, but FaZe mix it up, and it's G2 that lose more health on this exchange of utility early into the rounds. And Existence feeling that pressure, just spamming through the smoke, forced to smoke pretty early in the round as well. And this is good from G2. You know, Smith being proactive, looking for information in Palace, and he can try to push a bit deeper than this.
Smith is 007 at the moment. Tuxedo, but no Aston Martin. Karrigan waiting for this. Hello. 008. Is that M? Who's 008?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's I can perhaps go into that push in a moment, as FaZe are looking to now develop the rounds. So it's phase 2 now. Phase 1, you play up passive setup, you wait for the pushes after some initial pressure. G2 give up a man, and they've also run out of utility. They've got one flashbang at this point. There's 30 seconds remaining, but FaZe have a bunch of utility, and now they're moving in towards the A site. Once again, a late split onto this bomb site. It is defenseless. There is only one man in the Palace. Body, though, does find himself some damage from the back from short. That's good stuff there for G2. Now down to 2 as they have to plant the bomb. There is no choice. Olofmeister will save Karrigan, but he has to plant now. Olofmeister continuing to do damage. More players, though, coming in as G2 look for this retake.
Body and Shocks around that connector position. You know what Olof is, and Karrigan planting the bomb will make it a 1 versus 2. Now, Shocks, the last man standing. That is terrifying territory, especially when you're both low on health. They need to get the 2 versus 1 in, but who peeks first? Where do they read Shocks is coming from? Karrigan peeking to his right-hand side, and there's a massive headshot. 9-0 for FaZe. Now, I'm calling NiKo the most dangerous man in Counter-Strike, and as a person who seems to be leading the charge here on Mirage, you can see in that round when Smith pushes that, FaZe know what G2 wants to do before G2 do. That's what it seems like at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, this was a really great round. Obviously, Olofmeister has to clutch pretty hard there to save it. Those 2 kills in very quick succession saved the bomb plant. But what was really cool was FaZe, you know, they make the round look somewhat similar pacing-wise to some of the previous ones. They play really fast pace, they put the pressure on. We see a lot of utility used by G2 in response, and then they just hold in passive positions. They bait out a push from Existence. And that's an interesting thing. I think in the meta, we used to see a lot of Palace pushes from the CTs, and you've got to be kind of cautious how deep you go with it. And right there, G2 is so blind and so desperate after using all the utility early to know what FaZe did, they walked into the trap. And a 5v4 is, for FaZe on the T side, is seemingly easy to shut down.
In our central gaming monitor, we have the cameras for both teams as well. And while you guys are watching G2 for the most part, NiKo was just talking the entire time, sparking all kinds of orders to the team. Oh, we've got the grenades at different times, of course. Just when you think it's safe, maybe more grenades will come. 2 more HEs and a bunch of Deagles, but those are just the only highlights really in a disastrous situation for G2. 4 of the 5 players have frags at the moment, and that does raise the question about the fragging power on this particular roster, especially when you're up against a team such as FaZe. I think it's reasonable to ask if you can ever beat a FaZe clan just in duels. I mean, obviously FaZe have the advantage of the AKs as well, which is significant, especially when their skill ceiling is so high. But I think there are long-term questions which the results of a match like this pose.
Yep, and once again, looks like we'll have this eco cleaned up pretty swiftly and pretty easily. And it's hard to know what G2 can go to if they don't get any rounds on the CT side. You know, what do you need to do to get back into this game? And as you said, you know, the individual skill, it is just something that FaZe can leverage in any sort of bad spot they get into. Like, for example, that previous round, you know, it was a really well-played round from FaZe, but somehow G2 is still sort of able to get some frags, make it favorable, and then boom, Olofmeister happens. Just gets a 2K out of nowhere, and that, like, incredible skill spread across so many players just gets you out of so many bad spots. And there it is. Another round for FaZe. They'll hit the double digits. 10 to G2 0.
now you start to wonder if we're going to see our second 16-0 in a major ever.
I was just thinking that.
In consecutive days, no less, because, I mean, just look at the scoreboard. There's not a lot. There's not a lot going on. The A side seems indefensible at the moment. So, I mean, G2 are trying to be aggressive, but again, they seem unable to surprise FaZe. That's annoying for Kenny, but he at least manages to get away from that middle position.
Have you seen that before, James?
I have seen it before. I have seen it before, actually. It's really irritating.
Yeah,
trying to jump off something, getting hit by a grenade absolutely ruins your trajectory. It's even worse when it's a HE and it hits you in the face as well.
I'm sure I've seen that in a pro match of this level. That's pretty interesting. Must feel like everything that can go wrong is going wrong for GT right now, except that perhaps timely push from Shox. Maybe that will speed up the push here from FaZe as a response to that. Got to be careful with the spray through the smoke. The tracers can betray you. And there's a minute left, and FaZe don't have too much going on except this short control, so they look to build on that, and they'll have Guardian still pushing it. In fact, he could actually push all the way to the B bomb side if they would like. They still have good coverage. They've gone deep enough here, and they've got the bomb moving in B apartments. So looks like that's as good a call as any here. Although Kenny will have an angle as the smokes dissipate. Another one bites the dust. That was almost a double as well. So G2, they might just have their first round on the board, James.
2 versus 5, NiKo and Rain. I'm not calling it just yet, that's for sure. Smith's in existence, very deep on A, and that's going to cause a problem with the time so low. It's going to make it hard to get a bomb plant, and of course there is bomb plant pressure here for FaZe Clan, but I'm sure they want to do as much damage as possible. Kenny is starting to deny them. That's 3 kills. It seems NiKo wants to prioritize taking the AWP away. But we might just see everybody survive. It doesn't matter if NiKo doesn't die, because they have so much money, FaZe, but he will get eliminated. So finally, G2 win a round, and they win a round with everybody alive. Finally, G2 are on the scoreboard. Denied.
I love that that's in the replay.
It's like that's kind of like you're walking up to a girl in a club or something, and some other guy just comes out of nowhere and starts talking to her just before, and you like have to style it out like you're going to get a drink, or suddenly you have to take a right turn. Oh, that's awkward.
Well, no more 16-0 at the very least.
Denied. Yeah, the 16-0 is off, boys.
But it was definitely looking like that. You're absolutely right. Oh man, this is such a difficult spot. Because it's one thing, if you've had some very competitive rounds, but I think we've only really seen one where olofmeister sort of clutched it out with a 2K so they could get the bomb down and play a 2v1 afterwards. That was really the only super close round that we've seen, except obviously that round just won there where G2 just... Kenny just sort of just got the picks because the smoke went away before FaZe were clear. All right, so maybe G2 can compound on this success, build it into something else, but it looks like FaZe have other ideas.
Karrigan and Rain getting their best Kishima impression on, charging straight into the connector position. Looking for some one-taps is Rain. Nothing doing just yet. Kenny off to a good start. Seems to have warmed up now. And the CTs have a play towards stairs, but Rain's just creeping through. But the smoke is to the advantage of existence. FaZe playing with absolute confidence. Okay then, stereo frags from FaZe, and now it's a 3-on-3.
Oh dear, Smith is forced out of position, and just when you thought you maybe had an advantage, it is taken away in the blink of an eye, and Body and Shox left to try to clutch 2v3. Definitely doable here. Body has an AK, so does Shox, but Guardian has an AWP, and it does get somewhat awkward here. Doesn't seem like they have any utility left at this point, the T side, so it's going to be hard to block off these choke points. Shox is in there. That's NiKo dead. Big pickup, but still Guardian to go. One misplaced foot, and that could be the end of you. And they've got 45 seconds to try to find a way to plant this bomb, so that is definitely playing in the favor of FaZe here. It's Guardian creeps closer and closer, and he's going to get deep angle on this peak. And finally, surely Body spots it, though. He knows he has to play a bit more shallow. And, oh, there's good cover coming in, but olofmeister now in the 1v1.
Molotov not doing the job there. olofmeister have some space to play with. Not quite the bite off Molly. Body full health. Needs 2 bullets unless he hits the face. 27 in 1 won't be enough. just creeping around. Olofmeister has no idea what's going on, but he has a read. Takes a gamble. The game sense of Olofmeister, really nice. There was an incendiary, didn't pick it up. Happy with the AK. So dangerous with that as Olofmeister. And that will be round number 11 for FaZe Clan. There is, though, another buy for G2 because they pretty much all survived in that round prior. 4 or 5 of them, I think 5.
It's actually like so smart as well from Olofmeister, his positioning, because I think he knows, you know, once he gets these steps, not only does he have an off angle and he has, you know, superior crosshair placement, he's at a like he could be a bit higher or a bit lower, his head, the positioning of his head because of the nature of the steps, whereas he knows the opponent has to be a certain level because that's a flat surface. So he just gets this inherent advantage. So smart.
Really smart from him indeed. Got to be really careful about when you choose to pull grenades out. The AK is often superior. Flash is going higher, avoided by Rain. Jumping up, Body will spot him. He could raise the alarm. Existence going to have a look, I think. They know someone's in the window position. Spray's there, but not quite the kill. And what's happened to FaZe? Rain and Karrigan remain. They know where Rain is. He's almost dead.
I have no idea how he is actually alive at this point. He even got tagged trying to get out of the position. And Karrigan is left as the only healthy player in this. Oh my goodness, that was a chance perhaps. Rain, though, unable to capitalize. Now Shox looks expectantly at Karrigan's position. Karrigan is going to have a hard fight here. He's trying to shoulder peek it. Oh, really smart, then goes for the deep peek. Unlucky for Karrigan, but Shox on point. A 3K for him in the round, and that's 2 now for G2 as we are almost at the end of this half.
Despite the score, we are seeing some really cool snippets of game sense from a number of these players. After Shox gets that first frag, I don't know if they had some information as to where Karrigan is, but he jumps up to elevate his position, standing on the wood. You see Karrigan jiggling and looking for the pre-fire. Even if he got it, he would have shot Shox in the chest instead of the head because he jumped on there. So again, just game sense galore. But can G2 get 4 rounds on the board here? That's really important for them. They need something to fight with moving into the second half. NiKo on a ramp with the bomb. 4 players looking to burst on the A bomb site, and who can blame them? This has been a weak spot. Smith still only has 1 frag in this game so far. There he is, doubling his score. Can't get a third though.
That's very close, good attempts, but Shox in the 1v3 now. Lots of work to do. Does have the AK at the very least, and it's going to be so difficult to root out these players. They're all in deep positions. So he has to go very deep and basically tap the bomb, at which point 3 players could just jump out at him. There's no way he can find anyone. FaZe are playing this perfectly. How do you beat Shox? Well, time's against him. Force him into a spot where he can't even find a fight, but he's going to find a fight against NiKo. That's the smoke to pressure the bomb. Doesn't actually tap it, but still Guardian comes out. Surely not. Surely Shox can't win this clutch. Goes up against Olofmeister, and unfortunately he has no idea where to look, and Olofmeister will shut it down, but Shox made that look doable. Just speaks to the quality of him. That was the most impossible of situations.
1 round remains in this half.
Wow, that's incredible.
So clean. So clean from Shox, that shot. Olofmeister had superior position. The smoke was interesting as well. It might have been hard for him to find a spot there. He's pretty much covered the whole of default, but here we are. 2 rifles and 3 pistols for the French-speaking side. Existence, of course, is from Belgium. Smoke has gone too deep and will have a gap in it. But no one is looking just yet. FaZe looking to execute on the A site once again, and that might be partly why G2 have put 4 players here, although of course they choose to stack with so many weapons. And in they go.
This is what Sean was talking about as well. French stacking the side of the map, maybe in the buy rounds though, and it's an easy cleanup apparently for FaZe. 13-2 the score at the end of the first half, a clean one, and it was 10 rounds in a row before G2 were able to post anything on the scoreboard. Definitely looking very grim for them at the beginning of this best of 3. Of course, this map is not over yet, but from what we've seen, things are not looking good so far for the French.
2 rounds and 2 frags for Smiths. You can see the body language is not very good in that respect. There's a lot. Maybe we should do some body language videos. Let's get some body language people. The guy who did the CIA video, the book with Phil Hellmuth about body language and tells and so on. I'll get that guy wear some dodgy glasses and an ill-fitting suit, and we can do a video with him about body language and what we can read from the players on player cameras. Well then, 2 boys with utility for the T side. Body will be the man with a P250. Can he have the same highlights as we saw from Issa in the previous match?
Oh dear, they're going to run straight into the C's there. What they expect? Olofmeister, yes, they check for it, but somehow NiKo's going to put the support in there. Olofmeister is still alive, but not for too much longer. But NiKo, great support, and he's doing more damage. The bomb on the ground as Existence faces up against Rain Guardian, and NiKo, never a good look, and he will be shut down. NiKo, great round from him, and FaZe moved to 14 very quickly.
I'm telling you, man, NiKo is the most dangerous man in Counter-Strike. He is playing lights out, as he always does, and he is in-game leading, and he's just shy of leading the server. Olofmeister fighting him for that. And I'm sure they are very happy that Olofmeister is back on the team. 14-2. This may be a brief one for G2 on Mirage.
Indeed, indeed. Nades will be purchased here for G2, along with those pistols. Guardian looking to have some fun with the scout, but the smoke will spoil things for him. Looks like a B rush is brewing here for G2. And that will be utterly denied perhaps through the smoke unless they decide to go through it. They do have a couple flashbangs on Kenny, but Karrigan could be ready to body block if they decide to go through the smoke. Oh, the running begins and Karrigan gets himself additional space. The nade in from Olofmeister and the FAMAS follow-up. You can't really deny this push harder than that. In fact, Karrigan's still alive. I don't even know how he's taking so little damage. Until now, of course, but very grim situation here for G2. This was absolutely shut down, James.
Yeah, I think this can be described with Sponge's favourite 2 words, absolutely fisted. We're looking at a 15-2 scoreline. There it is, Rain taking Kenny S out from the back, and now we wonder if FaZe Clan will put G2 out of their misery on this map. I mean, the A site was exploited. The A site was a sweatshop, Dan. You know, we talk about positions and like sometimes you're a B player, you don't get many action, so the scoreboard looks weird, but it was indefensible. Indefensible. 15-2 for FaZe Clan. They are well equipped, very well equipped indeed. G2 now having to force the issue versus Game Point with 4 Deagles and a CZ75. We are asking a lot of the French-speaking team.
Yeah, and then we have that classic setup. Oh, that's a nice shot from Shox, but short-lived. Olofmeister hunting him down. He's on horseback, and he is chasing after the Fox. Existence will appear from the pit's position through the smoke. Perhaps he can get a cheeky frag. I don't know that they know that he's there, and he'll be holding position now. So perhaps this will not come as a surprise. Indeed, 16-2, FaZe utterly dominates G2. They never stood a chance, it would seem. They didn't really offer up all that much here in this game of Mirage, James.
No. No. I don't know. They got deleted. They got absolutely deleted. G2 spamming backspace. The page was clean. FaZe spamming the backspace even. That was, I mean, this absolute domination. Is there any hope for G2 versus the likes of FaZe? I mean, we see G2, this team, they're still a new team, but I think the fragging power is just too great for FaZe. Beyond the tactics as well, I mean, they just waited when they wanted to. They knew what G2 would do to react to what FaZe were doing, and they just outplayed them from start to finish. Thoughts of the analyst desk now. Over to you, Alex.
Thank you so much, James and Dan. Yeah, you know, normally this desk is here to break down, you know, the breaking points where one team kind of took over the lead and what brought them back, and we'd show you some of the spiciest moments from that game. But I feel like the highlight package has kind of done that for you. FaZe just seemed to find that level, or did G2 just not compete? That's the question.
Here's the thing with FaZe. Even if you know what they're going to do, like once again, they did an A execute on the first gun round.
Yep.
You can put as many bodies there as you want. you can't stop them when you're not as good individually. They're just going to pop your head every day of the week, and that's what you saw come out here. Individual brilliance throughout, just shining through in all those close moments. Whenever it looked like, hey, maybe G2 have a chance, nah, Olaf's just going to grab a multi-kill.
But that's my biggest takeaway. I know it's a stomp, but it's happened again. Olaf, Mirage, top fragging. He is starting to integrate back in, at least on an individual level, back into FaZe.
Yeah, he looks amazing right now. Honestly, he's doing it all on their T side. He's lurking. He's getting entry frags by the B bomb site. What can he not do right now? Yeah. On the other hand, some really disappointing performances, in particularly from Smith and Existence, who were playing around that A bomb site. I think when I looked after 10 rounds, Smith was 0-9 with 11 damage around.
He went 0-10. And
0
then he got
and
a
10.
kill.
But what was his ADR, Sean?
After 10 rounds, it was 11.
11 average damage per round. So that's
terrible.
What is that? I'm just trying to think of it. That's like hitting them with the decoy and a paperclip.
Maybe a couple of ticks of a Molotov. But I'll give G2 some free advice for their Mirage.
Yes.
All right, so here's what you need to do. Your 3 best players, put them around middle. They are Kenny, put Shox, maybe Catwalk, maybe put Body Connector, or vice versa. Doesn't really matter. That should be your initial hold. Then put your 2 weaker players as bomb site anchors, because they can just jump, spot, or play a position where they can get one and done, play for information. Right here, you have the 2 weakest players of the entire team playing on the A bomb site, which you know that a team like FaZe will exploit time and time again. It's just nonsensical. Like, it doesn't make... They're not even pivot players. Like, why would you put Shox as the B anchor unless he decides, hey guys, I want to be the B anchor? It doesn't make any other sense.
But you know, Shox, when you talk to him in interviews, chances are he probably does just go, oh, I kind of like playing B. He hasn't got that star mentality.
Probably do that, especially since he likes opping a lot. He might like running the double op by the B bomb site. But
that's another point though, right? Here's a question for you, Sean. If you had your best rifler in the team, who is it?
Shox.
Okay. Yeah. Would you want your best rifler in the team picking up an AWP?
Probably not, no.
And they did that. He double opt. Yep. So we know Smiths can do the double op, right? And if you're going to use MSL has shown everybody. He's shown the world that if you use the AWP as a utility, not to be a flashy star, carry the game.
Holding a line.
Exactly. Anyone can do it. That's no disrespect to MSL. That's just showing that anybody who even isn't considered an AWPer can hold a line and get a kill. So like that would be a much better way to use them.
I do think their main problem though was that they were just giving up mid control. I don't know what you thought about that, but it seemed like FaZe was just throwing a catwalk smoke, a window smoke, top connector smoke, a connector molly, all the standard stuff.
And they just kind of
and G2 was like, okay, you can take it. Kenny was the only one fighting for it with the cat jump here and there, and he actually did a pretty good job getting a couple picks. I think Kenny was like the glimmer of shining light here. He played decently well.
The kills in ADR do kind of tell the whole story, and I think the story will end here for the first map. 76 ADR for Kenny, 85 for vice versa for Shox. And that's pretty much it. 14, 13 frags, the next was 6 from Existence. They just didn't have the necessary firepower to face FaZe, and that's what you need. If you can't beat them in duels, you can't beat them in the server. FaZe takes